This Bahrain Grand Prix 2024 Betting Picks edition of the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today using promo code SGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter our bonus contest. 5 winners will receive shirts, hats, and a $50 SGPN gift card. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. Get ready for speed.
You just wait, sunshine. You just wait.
Get ready for the passion.
To whom it may concern you.
Get ready for the raw emotion.
Sì, ragazzi! Grazie, dai, forza Ferrari!
Get ready for the F1 Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb. We have waited. We have waited through winter months. We have waited through the end of football. We have waited through the beginning of NASCAR. But Cody, it is finally F1 season. Bahrain is this weekend. Everything happens as it normally does on race week. And we are so excited to begin yet another year of the F1 Gambling Podcast in earnest, giving you race picks for the first time in so very, very long.
You know, we're almost there with everything. IndyCar starts next week. Otherwise, we're in it. We're full on into racing season. We don't even have to wait till Sunday this time. We got a Saturday morning race for us this week. It's going to be beautiful. Just so glad the actual season is here. It's back. F1 cars on the track in just a couple of days. We had them on the track last week, but on the track for real racing action this week. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Just, man, the off season is just way too long in these sports, even though it's not that long. It's still too long. And I'm just happy. I'm so happy it's back, Rod.
Yeah, and obviously, as we know, testing happened, and you can gain a lot of knowledge from testing, but at the same time, it really is just testing. They are out there trying.
I saw Max Verstappen was 17th fastest at one point.
And now we're all going to hammer bets against
changing of the guard. No.
Right? Is that what we're at? We're
that's because he didn't run any laps. Never mind.
But yeah, and the reason why we really didn't kind of get into that, we're not necessarily the F1 recapping show, and we're not really an F1 news show. Obviously, we're an F1 gambling show. And so, obviously, as it pertains to odds, we'll be here for you, which is why now, starting this week, every time there's a week race, we'll definitely give it to you. We're also going to start to try to incorporate some other stuff. We'll figure this out there because we want this show to get, we just want the show to grow. We want the show, as F1 fandom grows in the United States, we kind of want to spark that interest too. Obviously, we saw it happen last year where, kind of got a spike in fandom in the United States. I think largely in part maybe of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But, we've kind of seen that hold on a little bit. And we're going to try to, help you guys grow in the sport as well, because not a lot of F1 fans are Americans yet, or Americans are F1 fans, I suppose. You can word it either way you want. But, we want that to happen, and we're here for you, and we're here to lay down some bets for you.
Yeah, and if you're new to the, a lot of times at the beginning of the season, you get new people checking it out, whether you've stumbled across this because you're a lifelong F1 fan, you're a new F1 fan, you're a NASCAR gambling podcast listener, you're coming over here to listen to us. We're glad you're all here, no matter which way you're coming from. We're two NASCAR guys, we're not going to hide that fact, right? We've gotten into F1 over the last couple of years through betting, really, to be honest with you, is what really got us into it. We love it. We love betting on it. I only know of one other podcast out there. Shout out to our friends at the F1 Money Gang as far as F1 gambling podcasts go. So not a ton of them out there right now. And we have a lot of fun. We've cashed some really big bets over the last couple. We've been doing this a season and a half already, which is crazy to think this is our, kind of our second full season, but third season kind of getting into this as far as the show goes. But it's been a lot of fun. We're not the most elite F1 fans that know every single detail about everything. So bear with us if you're an F1 elitist. But we've got good picks. We find fun ways to talk about it and enjoy the racing. And hey, even if Max Verstappen blows the field out by 30 seconds, first of all, we might have a bet on that. Second of all, we're going to have plenty of other bets we can cash throughout the field and make money in a variety of ways. Again, it's all about the race within the race. Even if the race for the lead isn't always the most exciting thing, the race within the race is always a lot of fun, whether it's the pit stops, whether it's the battles, whether it's the point cutoff or the podium or the top six or any other number of things out there, classified cars, all that stuff. So we're in for another fun season of betting. We've had a lot of fun, made a lot of money in the last couple of seasons. So I'm pumped. I'm excited that it's back and that we're doing it all over again.
And of course, now new to this season, we'll be doing most of the pick shows, if not pretty much all of them, I'm pretty sure, live on YouTube. So the NASCAR Gambling Podcast YouTube, if you want to get involved and start chatting with us over there, we more than welcome the company. And if you are an elite F1 fan, and it's a very easy way for you to instantly correct us because, again, we are not above. We want to learn, too. And that's the other thing. We want to learn more about it. I mean, we know what we know, but obviously, if you've been a lifelong F1 fan, you've got some years on us, and we are more than willing. My ego is not big enough to not learn something new about something each and every day. So we would love to hear from you in the chat as well. A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun, Cody. We've had so much fun with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast live these last couple of months. I'm excited to take it over to the F1 Gambling Podcast.
Yeah, same. Just real happy, real excited that we're back and that we're here. If you stumbled on us from the NASCAR side of things, thanks for joining it. We appreciate it. Same dudes here, just talking F1 style of racing anyways. Rod, should we go through? There's been a couple of name changes, a couple of things that changed up in the offseason here. We talked about some of it during the offseason shows, but if you're just getting caught back up and jumping back into the season, there's a couple of things that have changed. So I figure we'll go over those real quick. Alfa Romeo is changing their name. No longer Alfa Romeo. They're now going to be the Sauber brand as they're transitioning away from the Alfa Romeos towards Audi in 2026. AlphaTauri, which is Red Bull's junior team, also going to be changing their name. And why does it not have the name?
The Racing Bulls.
Yes, the Racing Bulls is basically all you need to know. They're also the Racing Bulls, Cash App, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, something else. But the Racing Bulls is what we're gonna go with.
It's so funny. The Racing Bulls. There's what they even just on the website itself is just listed as RB. Not even any. It's the Visa Racing Bulls Cash App. Visa Cash App Racing Bulls Formula One team. That's what it is.
That's the full name. Other than that, did we even have any driver changes really?
Not really.
No, everybody's, but yeah, I mean, Logan Sargent's back. Daniel Ricciardo starting the year with AlphaTauri /
I was gonna say not
this year.
Racing Bulls.
Racing Bulls, right? He didn't start the season last year, but he ended the season with them. So yeah, really everything else is kind of the same. Lewis Hamilton's obviously going to Ferrari, but that doesn't start until next season. So that's kind of been the biggest news as of late. And we talked about that a little bit on our was that on the IndyCar show, I think, that we had earlier last week. So check that out. But and Daryl checking in. He's a big F1 fan. So shout out to Daryl. Better name than the Kick Steak team, which is the Sauber. That's their full name. So we're just gonna call them Sauber.
It's Kick Sauber, I think, is what the official name of them is. But yeah, it's better than the Sauber steak. That sounds like something you would, or the Kick Steak. That sounds like something you would order at a restaurant. I'd like the Kick Steak, please.
I'll take the Kick Steak. Yeah, this medium rare. It's good.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Just leave a little pink in it, and we'll be good to go. Honestly, it'll be fun because, again, a lot of these guys now solidified in this. We're not seeing the turmoil that we saw kind of last season, where we saw quite a few driver changes. Of course, this
next season,
one, Hamilton's
the really silly season is already started to kick up. Right, season even started, and we're already into the silly season with the Lewis Hamilton news. Obviously, that's going to lead to Carlos Sainz news. I think I want to say Checo's in a contract year. Ricardo's still kind of hanging on.
Is Checo ever safe at this point?
Well, that's the same with Carlos Sainz though. Like, is he really ever? Those those second guys at these big teams, they've always got a little bit of hanging over them, and with pieces starting to shift and move now. Ricardo shows up and looks really good in the Racing Bulls. I said last year he would replace Checo. Maybe this is the year. Who knows? So we're in for definitely a fun, dramatic season, and I'm excited for that.
And it all kicks off with Bahrain. We'll kick it off with our bets and our race preview. But first, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Hey, listen, here's the thing, right? We have killed it. We crushed it this last week. If you're a NASCAR gambling podcast listener, go back because we swept the board. We gave you 6 picks. All 6 of them hit. Lucky there to have that super speedway bump that we had, but we're going to run it back again this week in Las Vegas. We're going to make sure to give you all the Underdog fantasy picks that you could ever want and ever need. And F1 too, when F1 kicks up, we will definitely be giving, just keep your eyes out there. Keep your eyes on the F1 Gambling Podcast Twitter. We may even make some F1 gambling shorts on the station just to give you some Underdog picks and plays for the slate in Bahrain, because we want you to get involved in Underdog Fantasy. It's the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and it's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. The pick'em games, again, all you got to do is pick higher or lower on the total, the starting position that they give you, and or the finishing position rather that they give you. Pick better or worse than, and you could definitely just earn up to 100x. I'm telling you right now, I get so excited to talk about Underdog because we helped so many people just pretty much kill it there last week. So we need you to do it again, and we need you to be able to get in there and to run it back. We love Underdog. So sign up now with the promo code RACE SGPN. You're going to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. So go visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. Don't forget to register with our promo code RACE SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 and older and present in the state where Underdog operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. SGP is also teaming up with Underdog to give you even more of a bonus. Sign up between now and the end of the month. 5 winners are going to receive an Underdog hat, Underdog shirt, and a $50 SGPN gift card. Sign up today using promo code RACE SGPN, and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter the contest for your chance to win. Cannot say enough good things about them. Absolutely love myself some Underdog. All right, we go to the Bahrain International Circuit. Bahrain, first Grand Prix here was in 2004. If you're brand new to the show, we take a look at the track and tell you exactly what it looks like. We did that last season. It was brand new.
This is where we need the input of the live chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's for sure. What do you think it looks like? Because I said that it looks like one of those heavy duty staplers. I'm gonna go with it. The ones that you use to staple into walls or drywall or whatever. That is my take on it. I think it looks like a stapler.
That, or it looks like a cardinal that has like its feet tucked up. You could go with that. See, let's go like the head and I don't know. Might be going a little bit out there. So who knows?
That could be. The great thing about this track is that there are 15 corners on this one, several hairpins. Great opportunity for that. But there's 3 DRS zones. You gotta love 3 DRS zones. A DRS zone there coming out of 15 to 1. Then you got one between 13 and 14. And you've also got one, a real kind of short one between 8 and 9. Had to make it bigger. My eyes are not that big, but 57 laps around this 5.412 kilometer track. So just over 3 miles for a distance of 308.234 kilometers. The lap record here was set in 2005, 1 minute 31 seconds, 0.4447. by Pedro de la Rosa in 2005. This is the one. This kicks off the season, man. This is where it all starts, where all of the trends start, where all of the teams learn what they've got now in race trim. So it's going to be yet another exciting start to the season.
Yeah, this is a great place to kick it off. It's been the starter for the last couple of years. 20 years of coming here now. 2004 was the first one. And like I said, it's kind of an early week. FP1, FP2, both on Thursday here in the States. FP3 will be on Friday, qualifying on Friday, and the race early Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. What is that? 6 o'clock for you then over there on the
7.
left coast? 7. Yeah,
7.
I can't do math. Is tough for me, but it is. It's nice. We're getting, I think, these first 2 races. I think Saudi is also a Saturday race, so I don't mind that at all. Wake up on a Saturday morning and get some F1 in.
Yep. Grab my cup of coffee and my SGPN mug and enjoy the race. So we definitely will do exactly that. Look, I mean, there should be no surprise as to what the race results were last year. But listen, here's the thing. As much of a slam dunk as we think it is, right? Max has not won every single race here over the last few seasons. He did win last year, but then again, he won a lot last year. So we can't necessarily count that out. But that was the first race that he'd won on this track. The previous winners of this one, Charles Leclerc in 2022, Hamilton in 2021, Perez even in 2020, and then Hamilton in both 2019 and early 2020 race. They ran it here twice in 2020, obviously because of COVID year. But yeah, I mean, this isn't a slam dunk as much as we think it's a slam dunk. The books obviously think it's a slam dunk because the books still are giving Max Verstappen. I saw it at minus 300.
Yeah, minus 300 is pretty much what he's at everywhere. Kind of to be expected, right? It's gonna be that or worse unless we suddenly don't see him winning races. His race win total set at 15.5. He's probably gonna win a lot of races this season, and that's just part of it. That's how it goes. Laying minus 300, not necessarily super appealing. So luckily, Rod, we found other ways to bet on the F1, and that's what we get to do. So
yeah,
thank God for that, because minus 300 is a tough one.
Yeah, if you're a brand new F1 listener and you're coming here from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, the great part about F1 and the books and F1, we have a ton. Every week there is a ton of angles. You could bet on practice speeds. You could bet on qualifying. You could bet on, I haven't seen the fastest pit stop yet. They have not given us that one. Therefore, that's not on the card.
I saw it somewhere. When I was looking. I'll try and find out where that
you'll have to find it. But normally I like to give out a fastest pit stop bet because it is, of course, always pretty much a slam dunk that Red Bull is going to do it. However, it's not necessarily been a slam dunk the last few races of last year. So I'll have to do a little more research before I give you another.
Bet 365, Red Bull's plus 110.
Oh, there we
Ferrari
go.
300, McLaren 350, Visa Cash App Red Bull 500.
I may have to delve into that one during the next break or while you're setting up your first bet and do that. But again, because you probably look at these odds and go, holy cow, what in the world am I looking at? This guy's minus 300 to win the race. He's like minus 250 to win the pole. I mean, how are you supposed to bet on it? Well, the good part about it is there's so much to bet on that we find good angles for you all around to where you don't have to care if Max wins the race. And even if he does win the race, sometimes there's bets, and we'll have one here, I'm pretty sure, that how much he wins the race by, right? You don't even necessarily have to know who wins the race, just how much it is to race by. So yeah, I'm telling, or wins the race by. So there's plenty of opportunities, plenty of angles for you to bet, and the books continue to just keep adding more. So we have fun with F1 because of the variety of bets that we are able to place week to week. And so you'll get a taste of that in this card, because we try to give you a little flavor all over the place just to keep you just to keep you engaged and having fun on a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. See, this is why we need the people in the live chat. Daryl chiming in with V-Carb, much easier to say. So maybe that's just how we'll refer to the Visa Cash App Red Bull team.
V-Carbs.
The V-Carb.
Too many V-Carbs for you. So, all right. Well, Cody, I think we should start laying out some bets, right? We've been waiting for several months to do it. So let's get to it, shall we?
Let's do it.
But let me tell you about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets, a revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, Cody, it is time to begin our first betting card of the season. Where do we begin?
We're going to kick it off with Charles Leclerc. Got him to finish on the podium. He's plus 105 over on Caesars. Not the sexiest line ever, but look, he's been really good here. You go back to last season, the result not indicative of the race. He was in third place on lap 40, sitting on the podium, right? Forced to retire with a power unit issue. Won this race back in 2022 as well, so he's been good here the last 2 seasons. Ferrari, always a team you kind of expect to step up and do better. We know that Ferrari can Ferrari and get in their own way, and that is, of course, the biggest concern always. But look, Lewis Hamilton's coming to town next year, right? Charles Leclerc, might be time to make sure you fully establish yourself as the number one guy over here and take your rightful place as the top guy at Ferrari, which we know he is, but really reinforce that before the addition of Lewis Hamilton. I think he's going to start the year off on a strong suit. And you look at last year, I mean, he ended the season on a strong suit, right? Ends up second place in Abu Dhabi. He was second place at Vegas, the race before that, led 10 laps there as well. 3 of the last 4 races, he's finished on the podium of last season. Of course, Abu Dhabi, Vegas, and then Mexico as well. And I think that just a lot of pressure going to be on him. A lot of, hey, let's get this thing in shape, get ready for when Lewis joins us next season. Ferrari always has high expectations. You're coming with a fresh season. You got to think that Ferrari can't be held down forever, right? They're Ferrari. They always find their way back to the top. They've been around forever. They're such a legendary good team that a guy like Lewis Hamilton's leave Mercedes to come over there. Everybody wants to wear that Ferrari red at some point, and Lewis is going to do that. Charles been lucky enough to do it and be the number one guy. I think he's going to continue to show that happens. Even if Red Bull is light years ahead of everyone, right? Max just comes out, destroys the field. Checo's really good, finishes second. All Charles Leclerc has to do is finish third here to get on that podium. So give me Charles Leclerc plus 105 for a podium finish over on Caesars.
I mean, just the simple fact that this is plus money for a podium for Shaw, it tells you where the books are sort of, I feel like they're hedging in a way, because it's not minus money, so they're not trying to gouge you, but it's also not necessarily all that priced up for you to totally jump on it. But I mean, it's still a smart bet because Charles Leclerc at any point, I mean, obviously one of the best 3 drivers, if not best 4 drivers in the sport right now. And again, you have to throw Max in there. You got to throw, I mean, depends on where you put Checo in that top 3 and or 4, but Lewis and Shaw, I think those 3, Leclerc, Shaw, and Verstappen are the 3 that are the best right now. And so it's just a matter of where you put them at this point. So I like that. I do like your Leclerc take on the podium. I'm going to go one with you as well. I'm going to take Leclerc on there, but I'm going to also put him with Alonso and Gasly to all have points finishes, right? This is a kind of a Caesars same game parlay that they threw together. You can find this at plus 360 over there right now. So you got Alonso, Gasly, and Leclerc, all 3 points finishes. You literally just laid out the points for Leclerc, so I don't have to re-go over that. But the weak link of this, believe it or not, may not even be Gasly. It could be Alonso, especially on this track. But I will say that 3 of his last 4 finishes here have been points finishes. He finished 7th in 2018. He had brake problems in 2021 that he only ran 32 laps, but he did start in 9th place, which means, a lot of times in F1, that starting place, that's kind of around where you finish unless you have problems. So he was in the points. He started in the points. I feel like he could have kept himself there. And that was when he was with Alpine. And then in 2023, last season, he started 5th. That was part of his fantastic start to the season. This is what everybody thought.
When he shocked the world, and we're like, whoa.
3rd place finish. He finished on the podium in that race in his first one with Aston Martin. So everybody was pretty much impressed by that one, and he went on to do it a couple more times. So let's see if he can keep that. Gasly, though, again, this is kind of the one where everybody's like, yeah, but he's not really a points driver all the time. He did finish 9th place here in the opening of the season last year, and we actually thought good things all were coming because he finished 9th the following race in Jeddah, but unfortunately just kind of fell on hard times after that. His average finish, though, is in the points. It's 10.7. So he had points finishes at Austin, in Suzuka, in Marina Bay. He He had a third place finish in the Dutch Grand Prix too, which was fantastic. 10th in Spielberg, 10th in Spain as well. And then Monte Carlo 7th and Miami 8th. So he can get there. Like Gasly can get there. It's just a matter of will he be able to start the season off right and on the right foot, as we know he can. And I think he can. So we've got, again, Leclerc in there, who, if he doesn't finish in the points, it's because he suffered some serious issues and got out of the race. And then we got Alonso, who's been a solid addition to Aston Martin last season. And then Gasly, again, one of those fringe points drivers every single week. So I think he can get in there. I like the number too. I like plus 360 for all those three to finish in the points.
Yeah, I like it as well because, it brings in, you look at these guys, and I mean, Leclerc, obviously, he's minus 800 to finish in the points. So there's no way to do that. And then you've got Alonso, he's minus 250. So also a very big number, and then you throw the Gasly thing in there, and really, barring any issues, which obviously can happen, Leclerc and Alonso should be in the points. So you're just upping that number on getting Gasly in there up to the plus 360. So I like that. That's a good way to tackle it.
Bingo. All right. What is our next bet?
Yeah, I did not mean to do it this way, Rod.
Look at you, car lifting in the F1 Gambling Podcast.
If you listen over to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, got the car lift, bring it over to the F1 Gambling Podcast this week because it just kind of landed this way. I wanted to get it on Oscar Piastri. I'm very, very high on Piastri coming into the season, and the numbers are pretty nice for him. Man, you got to ride this car lift with me. So going Oscar Piastri. Again, I think he's one of the most talented young drivers we've seen in a while in the sport. McLaren thing, kind of interesting because all off season they've been second to Red Bull in every odds. After the testing, things shift a little bit. It's so hard to measure with the testing. I don't know. It's different drivers and people running different things, and how are they showing everything they've got? You don't exactly know everything. I know you're shaking out the bugs and stuff, but I still have some belief in McLaren. So all off season, the books and everyone thinks that, McLaren's going to be solid. I think Piastri's going to be solid. So let's put those two things together, ride this car lift. I'm going to take Oscar Piastri to finish in the top 6, plus 220. Finish on the podium, plus 750. If you think you can get to the podium, Rod, we got to throw in a top 2 because it goes from plus 750 to plus 2,500 for one spot. You got to have both of those, right? Fastest lap, 40-1 over on Caesar. And then I'm also going to toss in here just because the number seems great. Double points finish for McLaren is minus 137. That's not that much to pay over on Caesars. And, Lando, again, according to the books all off season, was second place to Max. If that's the case, he should easily be in the points. If I think that that Piastri's getting in here anyways, let's toss them in there together and do it both ways. So looking at Piastri, only ran 13 laps here last season, had an issue earlier on in the race that got to him. But he had a 6th place finish at Abu Dhabi to end the season on a very strong run. He was second at Qatar. He had a 3rd place finish at Japan. 5 top 6 finishes last season. So he was very strong to, as we kind of got into the season, really started to show that talent. McLaren, again, kind of the only ones who could really keep up with Red Bull towards the end of the season to a degree in those last couple of races. Showed us a lot. Hopefully they kind of continue to step forward on that. And then as far as throwing Lando in there, he's got a top 5 on 4 of the last 5 races to end the season last season. It's hard to go back and look too much into last season, but you can still carry that momentum. We've seen drivers carry the momentum from one season to the next. That's the most recent sample that we've got to go on. So I think that's a good thing to throw in there when it comes to the double points finish. So top 6 plus 220, podium 750, top 2 plus 2,500, fastest lap, which by the way, we'll get into the fastest lap a little more later, but anybody can hit the fastest lap here. Last year it was Zhou Guanyu. So anybody can get it done, right? And then double points finish for McLaren, minus 137. I think all those are over on Caesars.
All you got to do is throw those soft tires on for a lap and try to get yourself a championship point, even though all you're doing is just stealing it away from Max Verstappen. Daryl with a little discouragement in the chat as far as my bet is concerned. He's saying that Alpine is said to have had a bad car or is going to have a bad car this year. He said that they told the drivers they aren't expected to be competitive. Hey, listen, That's sad. I didn't hear that, unfortunately, and I'm
Hopefully, Rod, they're just playing games. They're fucking with everybody. It's gonna come out like Alonso last year and like bam, hit you in the face. You didn't even see it coming.
I mean, listen, and Daryl, for that matter, I'm okay if they have a bad car. I would just like a 10th place car. Like, I'm not even asking for them to be in the top 6, right? I mean, if bad for them is 10th place, then bad for them is 10th place.
The offseason stuff, it's so hard with all the noise because there's so many different things and you hear all these different things. And that was something I'd stumbled across. But I mean, has this team just completely given up? They're just going to come into the season and say, fuck it, we're going to finish last every week and we'll see you in 2025. Like, no, he still wants to drive well. Everybody on the team wants to work hard. So yeah, that stuff's floating out there. I mean, you come into last season and, did you expect before the season that Alonso's going to end up on the podium right away? No, but I'd be shocked if anybody had that bet coming into the season. Did we think that by the end of the year, McLaren was going to be maybe arguably next best to Red Bull? No, we kind of had them in that next group, but I don't know. It's so tough with all the offseason noise. You hear all the different things. You hear the different narratives. What's true? What's not true? Who's actually showing out? Who's holding back? It's all a big game of chess. And, until we get a couple races in, we're going to start to really get the picture. But for now, we can lean back on what we have seen in the past at this track, what we've seen most recently from the drivers, and what we believe on people going into the season.
My hope, Daryl, is that they're putting that out there just so other teams start to overlook them, and then they start to punch and hit hard.
He lands up on the podium.
Preston saying, "Holy shit! I just got home from work, and Rod looks like he's dressed for an awards show. We're giving out Max. I mean, we already gave that a while ago.
You missed it. We already presented. We actually had Max on. Go back, watch the beginning of the show. We presented him with the trophy for 24, 25, 26. We just got the next 3 seasons out of the way.
Knocked it out. You wear a college shirt and everybody thinks that you're fancy. I like that. One more question before we go into my next bet. JDK asking if we think Mercedes is looking for a new number 1 or a new number 2 to Russell. I think it's probably more like a number 2 to Russell.
I think so. I think Russell's been tapped to be the number 1 for a while. I think they've had their eyes. Man, I hate how much I'm not on him coming into the season because I was so big on him last year and it burned me. But he's got a really bright future as well. And if Mercedes kind of figures things out quickly, he could be a real threat quickly. So he's definitely going to be a guy to keep an eye on. I mean, who do they land that would upset him from that number 1 spot? A guy like Checo, if you bring him in, he's probably going to be the second fiddle. You bring Sainz in, he's going to play second fiddle. I mean, maybe you land a Daniel Ricciardo, but does he jump to number 1? Maybe that's like the one spot you could see.
There's a lot of F2 guys, though, that are chomping at the bit.
And those guys aren't going to jump in and be the number 1 right away, I don't think. I mean, there's not even a Piastri, who is, one of the most touted F2 guys in a while, he comes in and he's number 2 to Lando for now. We'll see if that lasts, right? But starting that way, so I think they're just looking for a number 2, really.
Yep, I concur. All right, I am going to lay out my next bet, and I've got Valtteri Bottas as a points finisher. Here's the thing. When you look back at Valtteri Bottas...
I should have probably looked at Rod's bets before I finished putting my bets in.
Cody didn't look at my bets? What? Oh, yeah, good job. Well, at least we know we're both on this one.
Hey, we both landed on this one independently, so that's great. Let's just do it together, Rod.
Valtteri Bottas as a 5-1 points finisher. I'm telling you right now, I know when you look back at last season for Valtteri Bottas, 3 points finishes. There was one at Losail, there was one at Montreal, and the other one came at Bahrain. If this guy's going to get a top 10 finish, it is going to be in Bahrain. Doesn't matter what he drives. This dude has gotten a top 10 finish in all but one of his starts on this track. In Williams equipment, in Mercedes equipment, in Alfa Romeo equipment, in kickstake, medium rare, Sauber, Saber, Rattler, I don't know, whatever it is. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, I get, me, I love to get things right. So I will say the Sauber team. It doesn't matter what he drives. The guy just continues to get top 10 finishes. His average finishing position at Bahrain is 6.3. In the last, let's just even go back. In 2014, 8th, 2015, 4th, 2016, 9th, then 3rd, then 2nd, then 2nd, then 8th, then 8th, then 3rd, then 6th, then 8th. He started 12th in last year's and still finished 8th. So doesn't matter what's happening around him. He just finds his way inside of the top 10 at this track. No matter where else he goes and finishes outside of the top 10, you know that Valtteri Bottas starts the season off with a points finish, regardless of how south his season goes after that. So 5-1 for something that has hit every single year since 2015. Yes, please. I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah,
or Saturday.
so in general, we try not to land on the same bet. Usually I try to beat Rod to the sheet so he has to make up his own bets. But Rod did beat me to the sheet. I did not look ahead, and I didn't even realize until you said it that we had the same bet. This is my next bet as well. And I think that's a great point that we landed on this independently. We each came here of our own, free will, and we both landed on Bottas to be in the points for a finish or for a points finish at 5-1. I think it's a really good bet. You laid out a great case. You mentioned his points finishes last season, but what's even more stands out to me, 9 times he finished in the top 12, Rod. So he was right there on the edge of the point. Even if he's not always getting in the points a lot, he's always right there on the edge. He's getting close to the points. And again, this is a race where generally every year we see a couple of power units. We see an issue here, an issue there, a battery, whatever it is. A few drivers drop out of the race. That elevates a guy like Bottas up there. Like you mentioned, he finished last season. He was 8th. He was 6th in 2022. And both of those were in the Alfa Romeo. And then, of course, before that, he was in Mercedes. So elevated results as you would expect. But he's been solid here throughout his career. Even once he's come over to this Alfa Romeo, now Sauber team, it's been good results for Valtteri Bottas. So I think it's great that we both landed on this one independently. And I think that just reinforces why you should bet it at 5-1 for Bottas to finish in the points over on Caesars.
Well, and again, you're not seeing these points finishes like this in general. I mean, a lot of these points finishes are not to the point where you want to take it. And at 5-1,
yeah,
for a guy that's done it every single year, except for one that he's ever been in this race, like, how can you pass that up? It doesn't even have to be like it could be a 10th place finish, and he's still cashing this for you because it's points, right? It's just insane. Like, he's got to be better than half the field, and he has been. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a great point is the number. I mean, you look at some of these guys, right? You got minus 800s at the time. Obviously, Max doesn't count, but past that, even guys are minus 800 to finish the points. And there's not a ton of value on the board, but you're getting value on a guy who's done it multiple times, every time, really. And, and has the capability of being at least within the range of the points. And again, if you're new to F1 betting, points finishes top 10. That's points paying spots in the F1 out of the 20 cars that are in the field. So, he just has to finish in the top 10 out of the 20 cars. He's been at least 12th in 9 races last season. So we know we can get close. We know we can get it done. So yeah, I love the Bottas one, and I'm glad we're both on it.
Me too. All right. Well, then I guess it's my turn. I will give you a Lewis Hamilton bet. I'm going to put you want to talk about somebody that does things almost every single time that he sets foot on this, right? Lewis Hamilton has 16 starts. In those 16 starts, he has stood on at least one of the steps of the podium 11 times. He has only been outside of the podium 5 times in his entire career on this track since 2007. So I'm going to give him a podium finish. His number for that is at plus 210, which again, it's kind of a weird number because I know that he didn't necessarily reach that pinnacle quite a bit in his time last season. In fact, he only had 6 podiums in 22 starts last season. So I'm sure they're probably thinking to themselves, well, he probably can't get it done. And to really even further that point, 5th place is what his finish was here last season. So he didn't even finish on the podium last season at all. But before that, that was his first time since the 2014 season that Lewis Hamilton did not find himself on the podium. In 2014 and 2015, he won the race. The next year in 2016, 3rd, 2nd in 2017, 3rd in 2018, won 3 in a row between 2019 and 2021, and then 3rd in 2022 before finally having to settle for 5th place in 2023. But I'm telling you right now, this dude is freaking money on this track. I don't care about the noise. He's a dead duck right now, or lame duck, not a dead duck, a lame duck for a couple of seasons until he goes to Mercedes. He's going to want to just go out. He's got nothing I mean, quite literally nothing to lose at this point. Multiple time champion, one of the best in the sport, right? I mean, there's really not much you can't say about this guy that hasn't already been said. But I think plus 210 is just a steal of a number for him to find himself on the podium again and to break the podium drought that he's in. One season of a podium drought for him on this track. So get him back on the podium at plus 210 for Lewis Hamilton. Again, I'm not picking him to really win, but at the same time, I think you can get him a third place finish at the very least, or second, and safely cash that at plus 210.
Yeah, I like it. Hard to argue too much against it. Lewis is Lewis, man. It's he's a tough guy to argue against. So not even gonna try. All right, Rod. To round it out, gonna take the dartboard out this week. Gonna just throw some. Sadly, they've caught on to us. They've been listening, and they've really just kind of nuked the fastest laps. We're not getting all the great fastest lap numbers we were getting last year. That was kind of our way. It's like giving out outright winners. A lot of times you could just hit on a fastest lap, and we did that multiple times last year. The numbers have gotten a little worse. Kind of want to see what we've got for some of the smaller numbers first. But I'm just going to take the darts out. I think that last year kind of proved anyone can set the fastest lap this year if they throw on the right tires at the end and get it done. And if you want to kind of put this back towards the NASCAR gambling podcast and look at this past week, Michael McDowell comes out and he almost sits on the pole at Daytona. He's on the front row and he's fast. And then the next week we get him at a long shot number and it's like, well, they went all in on Daytona and they're probably not going to do it. And we give it out a 30-1 and boom, it hits because it just made too much sense. Look, Joe Guan Yu got the fastest lap here last season. How am I not going to bet on 150-1, Rod? Is he going to get the fastest lap this year? Probably not. There's a reason it's 150-1, right? But was he going to get the fastest lap last year, Rod? Probably not. And look what happened. He got it. So, got to go back to the well. Did it last season. I think he can win it again. And really, if you look at the top four last season, as far as fastest laps go, Joe Guan Yu, Pierre Gasly, Lando, and Logan Sargent. No Max Verstappen, no Lewis Hamilton, just goes to show you, just to go out there and set the fastest lap, it doesn't have to just be the guys that are dominating, killing the rate. Max is winning by 10,000 seconds. Wants to make a pit stop to set a fastest lap, but it doesn't always happen. And we saw more times last year than we didn't that Max didn't have the fastest lap despite winning basically every race. So I think it's worth a shot at throwing something like that out there. Also like Daniel Ricciardo, 100-1. Mostly I just wanted to find a way to bet on Daniel Ricciardo, but this was the best way I could find to do it. Look, Red Bull seems to be putting a little more into this team. They've got the big sponsorship with the name change now, right? And maybe a little more influx in here. You got to think they're maybe running a little bit of older Red Bull cars, which have been pretty fucking decent over the last couple of years. So maybe those will work out pretty good. We know Ricciardo's a talented guy. Can he go out for one lap and just lay down a heater and grab a point by having the fastest lap out there? Abso-fucking-lutely he can. 100-1. Look, again, long shot for a reason. You have to understand that. Don't just go throw the mortgage on it, but it's something that's possible. We saw it last season. I think it can happen again. So, Joe Guan Yu 150-1, Ricciardo 100-1. Like both of those for my fastest lap dart throws. And then also, I'm going to go to the winner's market because it's the first race of the season. This is what we do, Rod. Give me Charles Leclerc, 9-1 to win this race. Look, is he second favorite on the board? I just had the odds pulled up. It's Max Verstappen minus 300. Shaw is at plus 900 as the second favorite guy. That's a big swing. Look, it's the first race of the season. We've seen things go wrong before. 2 seasons ago, Max didn't even finish this race. It's not a foregone conclusion. Maybe Ferrari hits gold with something. They come out and it's killer. They crush it. I think 9-1 is a good enough number to give me who should be the second best guy in the field according to the odds, all the way at 9-1. So yeah, give me Charles Leclerc 9-1 to win this race. Maybe Max slips up. Maybe something happens. I don't believe that Red Bull is just going to come out and be flat on their face. I think that's the most unlikely thing to happen. But wrecks happen. Has an issue in qualifying. A battery, a power unit, whatever the deal is. We've seen issues in these first races as the teams get the bugs worked out. And maybe they found the super fast, super speed mode that he wins every other race the rest of the season, but it fails this first race. You never know. 9-1 Charles Leclerc. I think he's going to be on the podium. I think he's going to be in the mix. I think he'll have an opportunity to win this race. So like him to get it done at 9-1.
You can find him at 10-1 over on DK.
Oh.
So,
well,
jump
actually,
to that one.
breaking news. I'd like to change my pick. Charles Leclerc to win 10-1 over on DraftKings is my
There you
official pick. Thanks, Rob.
I love it. All right. I'm going to go with the winner without, which is something you don't see in NASCAR more often than not. We've gotten it a couple
Kyle
times.
Larson odds this week. Maybe we should get that.
I know, right? But this is the winner without Max Verstappen. I mean, because they've gotten to the point where it's very hard for people to actually put money on -300, even though it usually hits more often than it doesn't. I'm sure the play on it is not as the books want. So they've started offering us the winner without Max Verstappen market. And I'm going to go with Sergio Perez at +280, his Red Bull teammate. Doesn't seem like it's that far of a stretch, and it doesn't seem like it's that big of a risk, right? I mean, obviously, we know that Red Bull is the fastest in the garage. It has been over the last few seasons, and it's normally been Max that is in it. But Checo's done his fair share. He had 4 second-place finishes last season. One of those just happened to be here at Bahrain. He actually has a win in Bahrain as well. He won in 2020 in the second race of that season. And so he's definitely been in the mix, right? I mean, this is a guy that we were talking about just a second ago. Really, honestly, his future is sort of up in the air. He really has to prove. And at some points last season, he was driving to save his job, essentially. And then he came through and then had disappointing weeks the next week. And they were talking about it again where, oh, man, is this going to be Checo's last season? Or not really last season, but like, is Checo on life support? And so he would pretty much love to squash all of that. And a second-place finish to his teammate would definitely go a long way, especially in a situation where he did it last season. If Red Bull does come out and do 1-2, and look, even if Perez ends up winning this race at 14-1, by the way, over on DK, if you want to find that, if you want to really just sprinkle something on Perez to be the winner, if Max does happen to geek out and Perez is right there, you still get the without, right? If Max stays in and Perez is second, you get that. Or you get the 14-1 and the +280. So it's up to you how you want to do it. But I still think that +280 with Perez the winner without Max Verstappen is a good bet because it allots for the fact that we think Max is going to win. And I don't know that you can go into any single race from now until he retires not thinking that he can win. I hate to say it, and it sounds utterly boring to continue to say something like that week after week. But until he proves otherwise, you have to say it, right? He's forced you into a point where every single analysis of him or every single analyst of him has to start with, yeah, he's probably going to win the race. So what do we do if that happens? So bet Sergio Perez to win this race without Max Verstappen. And then to get an even funner, more fun way to get it on Max winning, I'm going to take the following. For Max to just pretty much dominate the entire weekend, to win the pole, to set the fastest lap, to win the race, Max Verstappen +230. It's really the only way that you can get any real value betting Max to win this race is to throw in the fastest lap and the pole. I mean, you could get good value with him to get the fastest lap and the win, but you get better value if you have him set the pole. I honestly, I don't have to sit here and especially if you're an F1 follower, and tell you the probabilities of all those happening and all those happening in one race. But if you're brand new to F1, just know that Max Verstappen is perennially on the pole, especially last season. He won, 16 races last year, right? When there's only 22 in the entire season. So
19?
It was 19.
Yeah.
Jesus
19
Christ.
to 22.
Math is hard. 19 to 22. He only lost 3 races in that. He had 12 poles the entire. Now, the pole was the only part that was part of the weakest part of his game, which I say that, but 12 of 22, he still only didn't sit on the pole 10 times. And of those, he was in second place in 2 of them and 5th in the other. Or I'm sorry, he was 15th, started 15th in Jeddah, 2nd in Baku. I'm looking at his finishes. Rod's eyes shifting in the wrong parts of it. But the 2nd in Hungary, 2nd in Monza, he still started in the front row on most of the ones that he wasn't on the pole. So I'm telling you right now, the only really way you can get value on this Max Verstappen win is to just pile on everything. And thankfully, Caesars does that. So give me the pole, the fastest lap, and the win, +280 over there on, or plus 230 rather, over there on Caesars for Max Verstappen.
Yeah, if you want to get on the Max train, I mean, that's the way to do it, right? Minus 300 is pretty tough to lay to win it. We're not going to give that betting advice out there. I know you only pay the juice if you lose, Rod, but that's a lot of juice. And
But that's a lot of orange juice, man. Seriously, I don't want to drink a gallon in order to benefit from the
yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to get in on him. And I mean, look, we know that he is capable of doing all of those things, and we know that he can go out there and just set the fastest lap just to make a point if he wants to. And so, yeah, the long shots are fun, and you know, he didn't get it here last year, but doesn't mean he won't do it just to go out there and show everyone up right away. So I think it's a good pick. Catch up on the chat real fast. JDK wants to know if Ocon would be good in the Mercedes. Daryl says Ocon's French, unlikely to leave the French team. I have to agree with JDK here. Says, I know the French are proud, but wouldn't winning come first? Couple of things interesting there. So Toto Wolff was actually, I believe, the manager for Ocon back in like 2015. So he's got that relationship. He was the reserve driver, I believe, in 2019 for Mercedes. So he's already got strong ties there. I know there's the French connection where he's at right now, but do you pass up on a chance to go race at Mercedes if you get the chance? I don't think I would, Rod. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Again, going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. Does Carlos Sainz just, they just flip? He would probably be a pretty good fit there. We know he's a very talented driver as well. So it's going to be fun to watch that saga unfold, especially when we get next year's Drive to Survive. That's going to be a lot of fun to see how that all pans out.
Yeah, and again, if somebody offers you a pretty ton of money, it's yeah. Daryl saying in his opinion, Perez signs Ocon. Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah,
I can't argue.
That's probably Perez is, I don't know. He's in such good equipment that it's hard to sometimes always measure how he's doing. But I think that probably is the path, right? And if Perez stays at Red Bull, Sainz, we'll see what other offers are out there for him. It probably likely would be the best thing he could get. So maybe that's how it works. Maybe they want Ocon. Who knows? Again, it'll be fun to watch the saga play out.
It will indeed. All right, well, get out your pen and papers. We're going to go over the bets for this Bahrain Grand Prix 2024 edition. I love it because Cody got to the dock a little bit later. He put Max minus like 200 million. It's insane. That's not it. So we won't go. Cody started you out with Leclerc as a podium finisher at plus 105. I said that Leclerc, Alonso, and Gasly would all be points finishers at plus 360. Cody bringing the car lift to F1, having Piastri in the top 6 at plus 220. Put him on the podium at plus 750 as a top 2 finisher at 25-1. Having the fastest lap at 40-1. And then throwing in a double points finish for McLaren at minus 137. I gave you, and so did Cody, Valtteri Bottas to finish inside of the points at 5-1. I also gave you Lewis to finish on the podium at plus 210. Cody said that Zhou Guanyu would have the fastest lap of the race at 150-1, and tossed in Daniel Ricciardo to also have the fastest lap, or have the fastest lap at 100-1, and then Leclerc to win the race at 10-1 rather on DK. Ooh, that'd be great.
100-1 would be a great deal.
I definitely take that.
If you find that out there, go ahead and snag.
If you find that out there, then your book is sleeping. I said that the winner without Max Verstappen would be Sergio Perez at plus 280, and then tossed in the pole fastest lap and race winner all as Max Verstappen. That you can find at plus 230. Maybe you can find a better price. Please do. But yeah, that's the pick, man. That's the betting cards for the first race of the season. Cody, we are now into regular season form. How good do you feel?
It's so beautiful. I love it. So happy to be back into racing season. NASCAR's back. F1's back. IndyCar's right around the corner. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. Again, the practices start early this week, so please make sure you're up on that. I love watching practices.
Yeah, glad we got this in on Monday early. Get chance to get these in before we get practices. And if you're new to F1 betting, odds shift more in F1 than any other sport that I've seen. Practice will sway things heavily. Qualifying starting position, extremely important in F1. So things will change a lot. They'll shift a lot. So if you like any of these now, get in on them because they're very, very likely to change before race time.
Indeed. All right,
And
everybody.
yes, Will, with the good
Will say
reminder,
Grace
like
Saturday,
we said, yes, get your picks in early. So if you're in fantasy stuff, which Rod, we do have a fantasy league out there on DraftKings that we're doing. It's going to be year-long, one-time buy-in at the beginning of the season. We'll keep track of year-long points. There are quite a few people signed up already. So if you're interested, hit me up at Husker_Zeeb. We'll get you signed up in there, or hit me up in the Discord, wherever. Get you in there. We're going to do a side $5 game a week too for cash. You don't have to play in that, but the season-long one's fun. Also got a season-long IndyCar league that are getting set up too. There's not many options out there for IndyCar fantasy, but trying to break into that. So got a couple people, but I would like to get some more. So if you're interested, hit me up for both of those, and we'll get you in and get you signed up. And open wheel season is here. Gotta love it.
Indeed. Speaking of IndyCar, Alex Palou pacing the field on the first day of preseason testing. So let's go. All right, Cody, as we duck out, let everyone know where they can find you outside of the confines of this space.
Yep. Find me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. A ton of fun stuff. Check out the NASCAR Gambling Podcast if you don't know us from over there. And let's go win some money over on, and again, YouTube too. Don't forget about that. We're over on YouTube on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast channel. Easier to keep it all over there. So check us out over there. Hit the subscribe, the bell. It'll notify you when we go live as well. And let's go win some money on F1 this weekend.
It's F1 season, baby. Bahrain, let's go. Can't wait. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Enjoy your tickets. Enjoy the race. We'll see you back here next week to set up race 2 of the season. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.